You are not the one making your own choices, not in the way you imagine. The decisions you believe belong to you, who you love, what frightens you, why you keep circling back to the same wound, are not being made by the part of you that you can perceive. They are being made by something underneath it, something older, something that has been running quietly in the background of your existence for far longer than this single lifetime. Most people spend their whole lives trying to alter the surface. They tweak their habits, their relationships, their surroundings, and nothing fundamental ever shifts because the surface is not where the problem actually lives. The force shaping your life is not visible from where you stand. It works beneath conscious thought. It does not announce its presence. It simply produces results, the same results over and over until something finally reaches it. This is not a psychological theory. It is a description of how the soul truly operates. The subconscious mind, as documented in the readings, is not a storage closet. It is not a passive archive of forgotten memories resting silently beneath your waking awareness. It is active. It is continuous, and it is not confined to this lifetime. What the readings describe consistently across decades of documented material is a layer of mind that sits between the conscious self and the superconscious, the level of awareness that connects directly to the divine. The subconscious is the middle layer, and it is the most consequential of them all, because it is where the soul's accumulated record is held. Every experience the soul has ever had, across every existence it has passed through, leaves an impression, not a memory in the ordinary sense, but an imprint, a pattern, something that alters the very structure of the subconscious itself. And that altered structure becomes the lens through which you view everything. Consider what that means. You were not born as a blank slate. You arrived carrying the compressed weight of everything your soul has already lived through. Every unhealed wound, every shattered vow, every act of love that cracked something open in you, and every act of fear that sealed it shut again. All of it lives there, encoded in the subconscious, shaping the architecture of your perception long before you ever formed a conscious thought in this body. The readings were exact on this point. The subconscious draws no line between past and present. It carries the record of what has been and casts that record forward. So what you experience as your present reality, your relationships, your recurring struggles, your seemingly irrational reactions, is largely a projection of what the subconscious has already concluded about the nature of existence based on everything the soul has already endured. You are, in a very literal sense, living inside a story that was already written before you were born. And this is where looking away becomes impossible. Because if that is true, if the force steering your life is not your conscious will, but a subconscious pattern stitched together across lifetimes, then the question of change becomes something entirely different. You cannot alter a pattern you cannot perceive. You cannot rewrite a record you do not know exists. And you cannot reach a layer of mind you have never been taught to access. This is why effort by itself does not produce transformation. This is why insight by itself does not produce transformation. You can grasp your patterns intellectually and remain entirely ruled by them. Understanding is a conscious act. The pattern resides elsewhere. What the readings described is not a system of self-improvement. It is a map of the actual structure of the mind. And that map reveals that most of what you call your personality, your instincts, your preferences, your fears is not yours in the way you imagine. It is the residue of the soul's history rising through the subconscious into the present moment and presenting itself as you. The conscious mind perceives only about 10% of what is truly occurring inside you at any given moment. The remainder is subconscious, and the subconscious is not impartial. It carries weight. It holds conclusions. It possesses orientations towards certain outcomes and away from others, formed long before this lifetime began. When you feel an irrational draw towards something, when you feel an unexplainable resistance to something else, when you encounter a person and sense you have known them before, when a situation provokes a reaction in you out of proportion to what is actually taking place, that is the subconscious. That is the record speaking. Most people interpret these experiences as personality, as preference, as who they are. What the readings suggest is that they are history. The readings describe three distinct levels of mind functioning simultaneously within every human being. The conscious mind is the surface. It is the part that reasons, plans, analyzes, and narrates. It is the part you identify as yourself. But it is also the part with the least real influence over your life. It can observe, it can intend, but on its own, it cannot reach the layer where the true patterns are stored. Below it lies the subconscious. This is the level that never sleeps. It operates during waking hours and keeps operating during sleep, which is why the readings place such extraordinary importance on dreams. During sleep, the conscious mind recedes and the subconscious becomes more accessible. What surfaces in dreams is not random. It is the subconscious communicating, presenting the soul's record in symbolic form, attempting to bring into awareness what the waking mind cannot or will not see. And beneath the subconscious lies the superconscious. The readings describe this as the level of mind that exists in direct contact with the divine. It is the part of you that has never been separated from God. It is the part that knows, not believes, not hopes, but knows the purpose of this existence and the direction the soul is meant to travel. It does not communicate in words. It communicates through what the readings called impulses, those flashes of sudden clarity, of grasping something without understanding how you grasp it, of feeling drawn toward a direction your conscious mind cannot fully account for. The subconscious rests between these two. It serves as translator, and when its patterns remain unresolved, it also serves as the wall. Because here is what the readings made evident. The subconscious does not merely receive, it filters. What arrives at your conscious awareness is not a direct encounter with reality. It is reality as interpreted by the subconscious, and the subconscious interprets everything through the lens of what it already carries. If the soul has carried a pattern of unworthiness through multiple lifetimes, the subconscious will consistently filter experience in ways that reinforce that pattern. It will magnify evidence of rejection and diminish evidence of love, not out of malice, but because it is doing precisely what it was designed to do: preserve coherence with its own record. This is why certain people appear to draw the same situations again and again. Different circumstances, different faces, different decades, and still the same essential dynamic returns. The subconscious is not attracting it. The subconscious is generating the conditions for it by filtering perception in ways that make a particular outcome feel inevitable. The external world responds to what the subconscious projects, not to what the conscious mind desires. The readings describe thought itself as a vibratory force, not metaphorically, but as a literal feature of how the universe functions. Every thought produces a frequency. That frequency radiates outward from the individual and interacts with the frequencies of everything around them. And the subconscious, running ceaselessly beneath conscious awareness, generates thought frequencies on a scale the conscious mind cannot rival. This means the dominant vibration a person emits is not shaped by what they consciously think. It is shaped by what the subconscious holds. The conscious mind may affirm abundance, while the subconscious carries a deep imprint of scarcity. The dominant frequency will be scarcity, not because the person isn't trying hard enough, but because the deeper layer is louder. What the readings described as the law of attraction is not a technique. It is a consequence of this structure. You do not attract what you want. You attract what your subconscious has concluded is real. And the subconscious does not interact with the present alone. The readings described a living record that exists beyond individual memory, what many traditions have called the Akashic record. This is the complete account of everything the soul has ever experienced across every existence, preserved in a field of consciousness that the subconscious can access. The subconscious is the individual's point of contact with this record. And in deep states, in sleep, in meditation, in moments of extreme clarity or crisis, the boundary between the subconscious and this larger record becomes permeable. This is why certain knowledge arrives without explanation, why certain fears have no traceable origin in this lifetime, why certain gifts appear fully formed in a person who has never formally developed them. The subconscious is drawing from a record far older than this body, this name, this set of circumstances. You are not a single life. You are a continuation. And the subconscious is the thread running through all of it. The readings were also precise about something most spiritual frameworks avoid. The subconscious can be reached. It is not sealed. It is not inaccessible. But reaching it demands something the conscious mind finds profoundly uncomfortable. It demands surrender, not passivity, not resignation. A particular kind of inner stillness in which the conscious mind ceases asserting its own conclusions long enough for something deeper to rise. The readings describe this as a tuning, bringing the conscious self into alignment with the subconscious, and through the subconscious into contact with the superconscious. Prayer, within the framework the readings outline, is not a petition cast outward. It is an act of inner alignment. When the conscious mind grows still and truly receptive, the subconscious opens upward. And what passes through that opening is not imagination. It is information, the soul's own record, and beneath it, the voice of the divine. The readings return to this idea across decades of documented material. The channel is always open. The obstacle is always on the conscious side. The noise, the resistance, the insistence on the conscious mind's own version of reality. This is what keeps the deeper layer out of reach. But there is a further dimension to this that the readings describe with particular precision. The subconscious does not merely hold personal history, it holds relational history. Every soul you have crossed paths with across multiple existences has left an imprint in your subconscious. Every bond formed and not resolved. Every debt created and not repaid. Every love interrupted. Every harm given or received and not completed. These are not abstract spiritual debts. They are active patterns in the subconscious that continue to shape present experience. When you feel an immediate and inexplicable bond with someone you have just met, that is the subconscious recognizing a soul it already knows. When you feel an immediate and inexplicable tension with someone who has done nothing to deserve it, that is the same recognition, but of a different kind of unfinished business. The readings describe this as the most misunderstood dimension of human relationships. What people experience as chemistry, as fate, as irrational conflict is largely the subconscious working through the accumulated record of souls in relationship across time. You are not meeting a stranger. In most cases, you are encountering a soul your subconscious already holds a file on. And how you respond to them in this existence will either deepen the pattern or begin to resolve it. This is where the nature of choice becomes something entirely different from what most people understand it to be. The readings did not teach that humans are passive victims of their subconscious programming. They taught something more demanding than that. They taught that the soul possesses free will, but that free will, to be genuinely operative, must be exercised at the level where the pattern actually lives. A choice made only at the conscious level, without reaching the subconscious layer beneath it, will be overridden. The pattern is stronger than the intention. Real choice, within the framework the readings described, is the act of bringing conscious will into alignment with the deeper record. Not to suppress it, not to fight it, but to meet it with enough awareness and enough genuine intention that the pattern begins to shift. This is not a rapid process. The readings were clear about that. Patterns reinforced across multiple lifetimes do not dissolve through a single act of willpower, but they do dissolve. They dissolve through consistent, sincere interior work, through genuine prayer, through acts of service that directly contradict the soul's old patterns of self-protection. Through the willingness to remain in the discomfort of unresolved material long enough to actually see it. The subconscious responds to sincerity, not to effort, not to performance, but to the genuine movement of the soul toward its own truth. And this is the part that changes everything. Because what the readings ultimately revealed is not a prison, it is a process. The subconscious is not a sentence, it is a curriculum. Every unresolved pattern it carries is not proof of the soul's failure. It is the exact material the soul came here to work through. The weight you bear is not accidental, it is specific. It was chosen at a level deeper than conscious memory because this existence offered the precise conditions needed to encounter it. The soul does not arrive by chance, it arrives with purpose encoded in the subconscious. A direction, a set of lessons, a particular quality it came here to cultivate, or a particular debt it came here to settle. And the life that unfolds is not random. It is the subconscious pattern in motion, generating the circumstances that will, if the soul responds with awareness, produce exactly the growth it came here for. This is what the readings meant by soul purpose. Not a career, not a role, but a direction of interior development that the subconscious already knows and that the conscious life, at its best, gradually aligns with. The question is not whether you have a purpose. The question is whether you are living in enough contact with the deeper layer of yourself to feel it. Decades ago, Edgar Cayce documented something that most people of his era were not prepared to hear, that the subconscious mind is not merely a storage room for memories. It is the living record of the soul itself, a bridge between who you are now and everything you have ever been. He believed that learning to access this deeper layer of the self could change the entire direction of a life. While preparing this video, I came across an ebook built entirely on that body of knowledge, called The Hidden Power of the Subconscious, which explores 10 of Cayce's core teachings in depth. From how your thoughts literally shape your reality, to what your dreams are trying to tell you, to the practical steps for reprogramming the patterns your soul has been carrying across lifetimes. I've placed the link to this ebook in the description and in the first pinned comment. If anything you just heard stirred something within you, that book was written for precisely this moment. And now the question turns toward you, not toward the soul as an abstract concept, not toward humanity as a whole, but toward you specifically. Reading this with the particular history you carry in the particular life you are living right now. The patterns running in your subconscious did not appear by chance. They were built, reinforced, and carried forward. And they are active in this very moment, filtering what you perceive, shaping what you anticipate, determining what you reach toward, and what you avoid before your conscious mind has the chance to form a single thought. So ask yourself this: the relationships in your life that keep producing the same pain, have you ever considered that the source of that pattern does not lie in the other person? That it is something your subconscious has been generating long before you ever crossed paths with them? The fear that stops you from moving forward, the one with no clear origin in this lifetime, the one that rises in your body before your mind can put a name to it. Where do you think that came from? And more precisely, what do you think it is trying to protect you from that no longer even exists? The version of yourself you present to the world, the competent one, the composed one, the one who has it all under control. How much of that is genuine? And how much is a pattern the subconscious constructed across lifetimes of learning that the true self was not safe to reveal? You have tried to change more than once.